All right, question 43 of the chapter 10 test. We have a 150 kVA transformer, 480 volt primary, 240 volt secondary. To find I, it's P divided by E. E times P equals I equals P divided by E. So 150,000 divided by 480 equals 312.5. From 450.3B, this is less than 1,000 volts, so I got 312 amps, so that is more than 9 amps. My multiplier is 125, so 312.5 multiplied by 125% gives me 390. The next fuse size up is 400 amps. Okay, number 44. Okay, again, 450.3B, more than 9 amps, primary only, 125%. Now multiply that by my amperage, and then I just move up to the next breaker size, as it says in note 2, I think. Number 44. I have a 500 kVA transformer, 4,800 volt, 3-phase, 6.3% impedance on the primary side. On the secondary side, it's 120/208. 3-phase is my secondary. So again, I want to go to table 450, 3A. It says under any over 6% impedance, because this is 6.3. So again, to find I is P divided by I. Now we have a 3-phase. This one wasn't a 3-phase. This one's a 3-phase. So it's 500,000 divided by 4,800 times 1.732, which is the square root of 3. Comes out to 60.14. I go to again 453A under any over 6% impedance. My multiplier, I'm using a breaker, is 400%. If I was using a fuse, it'd be 300%. Okay. In the question, I didn't put supervisory location, so we don't have to go to supervisory. We can just go to any. If it don't mention a supervisory location, then don't worry about it. It goes go to any. So that comes out to 240.56. Breaker size, note 2, would be 250 amps. On the secondary side, again, I got the 500,000. Divided by 208 times 1.732. Okay, again, this is 3-phase. Comes out to 1,387. Again, same table, just where we got this from. We go all the way across because we're under 1,000 volts. Just multiply times 125%. And it doesn't matter. It's either fuse or a breaker. So I got a breaker on the primary, fuse on the secondary. It'd be a 2,000 amp fuse. Let me change the sheet here real quick. Number 45. Turning on the ceiling fan here real quick. I got a 200 kVA, 11,000 volts, 3-phase on the primary, 4.21% impedance. On the secondary, I got 415 volts, 3-phase secondary. Okay, again, going to 450.3A. I'm over 1,000 volts on my primary. So it says any. Again, I did not give you a supervisory location, so I just go to any less than 6% impedance, a fuse. There's my 4.21. Okay, so I get that 200,000 divided by 11,000 times 1.732. Again, it is a three-phase. So I equals 10.3 and 10.5. Up here, my multiplier is 300% because I am using a fuse. So instead of like the last question was 400%, this one is 300%. Comes up to 31.5. I can go to the next fuse size up. I think that's note 2 or note 1. And it comes out to 35. That'll be a 35 amp fuse. On the secondary side, I have a breaker. Okay, so I get the 200,000 divided by 415. Again, three phase times 1.732 comes out to 278.24 multiplied by 125%, and it's 347.81. So it's a 350 amp breaker. 350 amp breaker. Again, just go up to the next size up. Number 46. I got a 30 kVA, 240 volt primary, 480 volt secondary. Okay, this is a step up transformer, not a step down. Those other three were step downs. This is a step up. Again, we're under 1,000 volts, so we'll be going to 450.3B. Okay, I got to find I. I get the 30,000 divided by 240. And it gives me 125. Again, I'm going to 450.3B. I have a primary and secondary. So I'll get the 125 amps multiplied by 250, which comes to 312. I'll be using a 350 amp fuse. Okay. Multiplier is 250 off of table 450.3B. Okay, on the secondary side, I got 30,000 divided by 480 gives me 62.5. I multiply that by 125%, comes up to 78.125. So I got an 80 amp fuse on my secondary. Okay, so again, 450.3B. Here, need to remember is we're under 1,000 volts, so we're going to this table. There is no impedance. We're not using impedance. We use amperage. More than 6 amps. I mean, more than 9 amps. I'm sorry. More than 9 amps. So because we're more than 9 amps, we use at 250%. Okay, we're more than 9 amps, we use at 250%. That's how I get this. Okay, all right. I hope this explains question 43 through 46. Some of you did good, and some of you didn't do too good, and some of you didn't do it. You know, I understand. I haven't had a chance to go over them, but I hope this helps.